Hello, everybody. It's Tina from Weneth Yarn and Fiber. It is technically still June 20th, Friday. We're counting this as a Friday episode because it is Friday as I'm recording this, even though there's only 2 minutes left in Friday. I wanted to start off with, here comes my cat right on cue. She's gonna come on up and insert herself into the operation here. First of all, I lost 5 pounds this week, so I'm feeling pretty pleased about that. Come here. And Groucho just wanted to say hi because she's a little attention goblin and that's what she does. Okay. So, yes, I lost 5 pounds this week. That was awesome. Also, I wanted to update you in case you missed stuff that I've just put into the shop. In addition to spinning fiber, so if you are into hand spinning or felting or any number of things that you can do with non-superwash wool fiber, I've got 4 braids in the shop, 2 Shetland and 2 Falkland. I have more Falkland on the way. I also have a couple of new yarns. That is not color accurate, for the record. We're not even going to try. You can find color accurate shots on the website. This was last week's Makeover Monday yarn. So this is now called Taken. It's in the shop as Taken. It's a remake of a yarn called Aliens. I haven't yet decided what I'm doing for this week's Makeover Monday. I should probably figure that out soon. We also have Ohana, and this is a recreation of the mini that I had in my Summer on the Lanai socks. So I think I did a pretty good job of recreating it. I mean, I remembered what I did. It wasn't a mystery or anything, but sometimes going from a mini skein to a full size, it could be a little dicey. But I figured it out, did a good job. And then third in the shop, we have a color called, that's pretty accurate, I guess. I have my lamp set to a more yellow setting because I'm so freaking pale that I thought maybe a little color would help me out. I'm sorry if it offends your eyeballs. But this is called Done and Dusted. And it is a true, what the Brits would call petrol blue. It's a green undertone, aquamarine, dusty aquamarine, deep, insert adjectives here. You know what color this is. If you're British, you know what petrol blue is. I think it's really beautiful. And it doesn't come out of a jar. This is a custom mix of some colors I put together myself. So, anyway, enough about the shop. Let's talk about stuff that I have been knitting for the make-alongs, because that's kind of the point of this vlog. I just thought maybe I would, just in case you missed stuff. Okay. So, first up, I've made tremendous progress on my Knit with Joan sweater. I tried it on last night, and it fits just fine, except for the fact that it's not long enough for me. Also, they tell you on the bind-off because it's an A-line, I don't know if you can tell here, it's an A-line sweater, so I guess they want you to continue the A-line shape through the ribbing and the bind-off. But the thing is that they tell you to do a yarn over every 4 stitches while you're doing the bind-off, and bind that off too as if it's a stitch, in order to not make the bind-off too tight. And I guess the reason for that is to maintain the shape, because if you have this A-line sweater and then you do the ribbing and then the ribbing is too tight, you're going to get like a bunched, puckered effect, and then you're going to get like a poof here above the ribbing. And honestly, I would not mind that look one bit. I don't like the bind-off with the yarn overs. I really don't. It has a tendency to flare. Also, the ribbing is not long enough for my tastes. So I think what I'm going to do is unpick the bind-off after I do the sleeves, because I don't know. I think I want the sleeves to be short, so they're not going to take too much yarn. I still have a fair amount of yarn left, wherever it is, somewhere around me. I still have a fair amount of yarn left. And I'm not using the orange for the sleeves, but I did use it in the ribbing on the bottom here. I kind of faded Where the Wild Things Are into Bullhorn Enchilada. So I think what I'm going to do is just continue with the ribbing after I unpick the bind off. But like I said, sleeves first. Also, this isn't blocked, so it might grow quite a bit once it's blocked. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I imagine it will. But I'm not sure how much it'll grow lengthwise versus widthwise. But I figure I'll do like a couple inches on the sleeves and then, I don't know. I like it remaining short though. I kind of like the way it looks as short sleeves. I really, really like these, I guess you'd call it a round yoke as opposed to a raglan. I really like the shape of this. I don't even mind them when the design goes really long and the sleeve holes kind of like hit your elbows. I don't mind that look at all. It almost looks like a shawl mixed with a sweater, and I like it a lot. So I think I will be on the lookout for more of these patterns in the future, especially drops patterns. Drops patterns, I don't know if I mentioned this in any of the videos so far. Okay, first of all, they're free, which in 2025 is like, what? They do have all sorts of, I know I mentioned the terrible 80s patterns that I'm just obsessed with and I love them. But they have on this pattern, and I'm sure they have it on other patterns too, if they tell you you have to increase, let's say, 60 stitches evenly over around where you already have like 258 stitches, there's a calculator on the page that you can literally just click on the calculator and it will tell you, it'll say like, okay, knit 2, increase 1, and then knit 14, increase 1, or knit 4 and increase 1 14 times, and then knit 5 and increase 1 24 times. And then, like it tells you how to do it in a more even fashion, even if it doesn't work out perfectly. So I really appreciate that. And the fact that it's free on top of it is just, it's incredibly generous. So I love drops for that. I've never bought their yarn, but now I kind of want to buy their yarn just to support them. And I'm sorry I've waited so long to knit one of their sweaters. I don't think I've ever knit any of their patterns before. I mean, I've certainly looked at them and I've had them in my favorites on Ravelry forever, but I don't think I've ever actually knit one. So I think there will be more drops patterns in my future, especially if they're hideous and 80s and designed to be worn with shoulder pads. I don't know. It's a bug in my bonnet. I gotta make one of those sweaters. So, anyway, Summer with Jones sweater. Next up, we have the project that I started last week on the 14th, when Make Orange Great Again started, before I got kidnapped by Albanians. I'm making pretty good progress on these. I like them a lot. I mean, they're not super fancy. It's just plain vanilla sock pattern. Plain same pattern I've been using for probably over 10 years now. I'm just not into fancy socks. I mean, stripes, yeah. Color work I might try again on 9-inch circulars. Multiple people have reminded me that they exist, and it reminded me, hey, dummy, you have them. You have them in your, oh, God, my god-awful plastic bag of needles. It's just, let me know in the comments below if you have a bunch of circular needles. Like, how do you organize them? How do you store them? I have one set of interchangeables, which obviously has its own carrying case, but I never use them. Maybe because there's a sweater that's been in progress for like 4 freaking years and the needles and cables are in it, and we don't need to talk about that. Anyway, I've seen people using like over-the-door shoe racks to organize their needles, or I have a hanging thing for my headbands with like just like elastic loops. I feel like that could probably work too. But let me know what you think. Like, how do you guys organize it? Because it's in a little trash bag. It's just And it's just a horrible tangle of needles, and some of them are really cheap and horrible, and I never use them. Some of them are just old and horrible, so I should probably get rid of them because nobody's gonna use them. But yeah. Where was I? What was I talking about needles for? Color work on socks. So if I ever try that again, I will try it on 9-inch circulars. But I remember trying them and just not liking them. So I think I'd be willing to try it again just to see how it is. I don't know. Maybe I haven't tried it in so long. Maybe my preferences have changed. Maybe it's better for me now or whatever. So we'll see. I think it's worth a try. Now on to the final project here. Okay. This is the Summer of Murder sweater that I'm working on, and I've made really good progress, despite somebody having chewed on it last week. I still love these stitch stoppers, by the way. Okay. So I wound up buying new needles to put this on because the old needles that I was using weren't long enough, and I think that was the only long set of size 5s I had, so I broke down and I went on Amazon and I got some Chugga. Chugga, is that how you say it? It's spelled Chiagu. Chugga. It's such a weird name. Why do people spell things in ways that they're not pronounced? It just seems so pretentious to me. So anyway, it's coming along really nicely. I'm almost at the point where I stopped doing the regular increases. I think I mentioned last week I had to do math to figure out how much farther to go on the increases because my gauge was off. Pattern doesn't mention row gauge. However, I think the row gauge will be all right. This is the length of the raglan. It's about... Okay, I didn't measure this, and I'm really bad at just, like, eyeball measuring stuff. But I would say that's probably about, like, 8.5, maybe 9 inches. There's a joke in there somewhere. Anyway, oh, I'm stuck on my own bracelet. So, I think the length will be fine for the raglan, but then you're supposed to do, in the pattern, it says do 2 rounds, and then you just increase on the front and the back panel during those rounds. But because I had to increase the rest of it by a certain percentage, I think I figured out that I have to do 6 rounds where I just increase the front and back, and that should take me to where I want to be. So that's what I'm going to do, but it's really slow going at this point because there are a lot of stitches on my needles. I haven't calculated quite how much, but okay, it was supposed to be 31 increases. At 31 increases, there would have been 400 stitches on my needles. But I'm now at stripe number 38. So that's like 400 plus... Okay, hold on. If you're increasing 8 stitches... Oh, I'm doing math live on camera. This is terrible. Okay, if I'm increasing 8 stitches per round, and I am now 7, so 8 times 7 is 56. So it's 456 stitches for 1 round. So it's increasingly slower and slower, but I'm almost at the top of the roller coaster, and then once I get the sleeves onto scrap yarn, then it'll be all right, and just... And then it'll just be the body, and then the sleeves. I don't think there's any shaping on the body, and if there is, I don't really want to do it. I'm fine with just a straight sweater. But yeah, let me show it off just one more time, because I really, really like this combination. I think it's beautiful and sparkly. I just love sparkles. I really do. I love sparkles. I love bright colors. I also just love black. But I love black with sparkles and bright colors. So anyway, so yeah, I think that's what I've been up to this week and making really good progress. I would like to also ask your opinion. This came up today when I snuck into the chat for Nittler and Traditha. Neil suggested, this is all Neil's fault, naturally, that I do a Halloween advent. And of course, Tabitha egged him on, and I really like the idea. I would love to do a Halloween advent. However, I also I know that my customer base is really small at this point, but I do want to do a Halloween advent because I am kind of obsessed with vintage Halloween stuff. I mean, I something about the mix of the art that they used to do. And when I say vintage, I don't mean like 80s. I mean like the Edwardian and like even back into I don't know if Halloween was a proper thing in Victorian times. I mean, I think it started during the Edwardian era. There was that whole thing with the ladies' garden here in the. There's a really cool history of Halloween that involves some horrible D-bag college students ripping up some lady's garden on Devil's Night or whatever, and so it's a cool story. But the cards that they used to send each other with the funny poems and the it's just how the smiling moon and the grinning skeletons and how stuff it was just like it was sinister but cheerful at the same time, and I really love that combination for some reason. It's like it reminds me before actually Neil was talking about he loves a combination of like murderous lyrics over jaunty music in Nick Cave songs, which by the way, Murder Ballads is an excellent album. If y'all don't know Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and you like good storytelling, Murder Ballads is a fantastic album. It's like one of my all-time favorites. But anyway, I really like the aesthetic of vintage Halloween stuff. And the color palettes were very different back then. When you think of Halloween now, modern Halloween, you think like black, purple, orange, green, but like neon green, neon orange, bright purple, maybe black and white Beetlejuice. But the color palette for vintage Halloween stuff is a lot more sophisticated. I also really love like primitive Halloween decorations. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but we're talking like spooky ooky. These dolls look like they're freaking haunted. I first discovered it in like those funny little country stores they have upstate New York. Driving around with my sister, we'd stop in one and find like some possessed looking crow or something or some weird pumpkin head doll. I just love the look of those dolls. But the postcards I'm talking about, they have a lot of kind of like that petrol blue. They have, rich reds and oranges and golds, and I really like that more sophisticated color palette. So what I was thinking of doing is a Halloween advent. Don't get on my case about it not being an advent because it's Halloween. Stuff it. I'm going to try to think of a fun pun for the name, but I really, really like the idea of yarns based on like a vintage Halloween palette. I think that would be a lot of fun. Plus, all like the little accessories. I've never done an advent before, so this would be my first time. So basically, what I'm trying to say after all this rambling and gushing about how much I freaking love Halloween stuff. Boy, howdy, that lady that didn't like my yarn names is really not going to like this. Anyway, what is your interest? Would any of you watching this who happen to be paying customers, would you be interested in a vintage Halloween advent calendar of sorts? Like, is that something that would be up your alley? You know my style. You know how I dye yarn. Is that something that you would like? Do you like Halloween? I was thinking of originally just doing fingering weight. However, and I would do like a full-size skein and then maybe 12 minis and then some goodies, which I think is pretty standard. Like I said, I have no experience with advent calendars. I've never bought one. I was brainstorming with my bestie, Amy. You guys know Mama's Little Monkeys, aka Pro-Life Knitter, aka Amy from Two Sisters and Some Yarn. She was really, really helpful before because I was like, I think it's a great idea and I want to do it, but I don't really know what to do and help me out here. So she's been helping me figure this out, and I really want to do it. I really do. But I need to know if there's an interest because I'm not putting myself out there and setting something up if nobody's interested in doing it. like the Mandra yarn knit along I was going to do. I think like 2 people were interested, and I was like, yeah, we're just going to, maybe we'll do that next year. We're not doing that this year. So if vintage Halloween is your thing, and you're interested and you feel like you would want to buy it, at some point, if there is enough interest, I will set up a pre-order. It's probably going to be capped because I am a small dyer, but I also not terribly worried about it because, like I said, my customer base is so freaking tiny at this point. It doesn't even matter. So I'd probably cap it at like 20 kits. And if there's more interest than that, then I can increase it. But I don't think there's going to be more interest than that. But I think it's important to branch out and try something new. It's a challenge. I think it'll be a challenge, but a fun challenge, not like putting a puzzle together challenge, not like you broke your leg and you have to walk for 3 miles challenge. Different kind of challenge. So it's something I look forward to figuring out, and I think it'll be a fun project. And I would just like to know what you think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to tell me how you organize your circulars because I'm hopelessly lost. Also, lest you think I cut my hair, I didn't. It's just in a really tiny ponytail, and you can see all my horrible curly bits in the back. God damn, it's like I'm growing out a mullet over here. This is probably one of the last weeks that you're going to see me with platinum blonde hair because I am so freaking tired of dyeing my roots. Bleaching my roots, rather. I'm going to try to go back to my natural color, which is a dark golden blonde. However, dark golden blonde on top of platinum is not really going to give you dark golden blonde, so we'll see how that goes. I tried one time to do like a light golden brown to compensate for the lighter base color, and it didn't work at all. So I might just have funky hair color for a while until it grows out. And you know what, to be honest, I don't really care. Whatever. I'm not trying to get a man. I will be just fine. So anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if rambling about inane stuff and yarn is your thing. Oh, also, let me... I can't spoil the surprise, but I would like to let you know I am currently, as of this moment, finishing up, I mean, not right now because I'm talking to you on camera, but once I get off the camera and edit this and upload it, I am going to be finishing an article and a pattern for Blocked magazine. The article is going to involve my origin story, how I started dyeing yarn all those years ago in Harlem with food coloring and recycled sweaters. And how I got to where I am today. If you hear squeaking, it's my cat meowing at me. I know, God forbid I talk to somebody other than you, am I right? Oh, Mamagosha. She's such a butt sometimes. But it's a tutorial on how to dye yarn with food coloring. So if you are interested in trying to learn to dye yarn on your own in a food safe fashion, so you don't have to worry about screwing up your cookware or whatever, this article will tell you how. It's also going to tell you maybe a little more about me than you knew, or maybe more than you wanted to know, in which case, sorry about it, but, you know, I wanted to get my story out there in print for people to read because, you know, someday I'm not going to be around, but I would like my story to endure for a little bit. But I also, because I was inspired by what I made, I only picked 2 colors to dye, and then I left the rest of the skein white. I created a hat pattern with color work, and I will spoil that part a bit. You can't see it. I'm not going to show it to you, but the pattern is ampersands and hearts, and it's going to be called the and hearts pattern. I don't know how many of you remember the days of MySpace when you used to be able to code your page and like do like the HTML codes or whatever. I think we used to be able to do that on Ravelry too, if I'm not mistaken. You could do hearts with like the and hearts semicolon. There's no semicolon. It's just ampersands and hearts, but I think it came out really cute. It does involve some really long floats, so you could alternatively, if you don't want to do stranded color work, you could duplicate stitch it. The charts will be included, naturally. Or if you are a better color worker than I am, there's that ladder back jacquard technique that I don't know anything about, except that it looks really cool. And it's for much better and neater knitters than I am. I probably should have just looked it up and figured it out and worked it into the pattern, but it it came out fine. It's fine. You can read it. You can tell it's ampersands and hearts. So anyway, I think I have rambled on long enough, and my cat is getting extremely impatient now, and I do have to finish that article. So I will bid you farewell. Thank you for watching. Let me reiterate, don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your jam. If this is not your jam, thank you for watching anyway. If you want to leave me hate mail in the comments below, thanks. It helps with the algorithm. Anyway, I will see you next week. If not on Friday, then on Saturday. I will always aim for Friday. However, shit happens, man. Okay, bye.